So someone asked me in one of the comments recently, I didn't reply to them, didn't have time to reply to them, and I can't go looking for the comment, so I can't remember what video it's on, but someone asked me, what were my thoughts on the new changes to the chat system? Not being able to talk to the enemy team. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? And as I said, I just didn't have time to respond, but we're here on Malinovka in my Object 268, which I'm still trying to flaming ace. I did 8,000 damage on this bloody tank the other night. I got almost 1350 XP and still wasn't enough for the ace. It was a first class, but still can't ace it. But I've got HE loaded because I looked at the enemy team and I saw a Leopard PTA, I saw a Batchat, I saw a CDC, Waffentrager, Borsig, so I expected maybe the first tank I spot to be a lightly armoured tank. So I've preloaded HE to deal with a lightly armoured tank. But yeah, getting back to this chat, enemy team are saying, good job, we've managed to kill an enemy IS-7 already. And in chat, people are saying the Batchat say, this map sucks, everyone goes to hill and nowhere else, so he's giving us information about what the enemy is doing. He's on the enemy team and he's telling us his team are going hill, and I'm just being patient here, waiting for a target of opportunity. So I'm wondering when something is going to pop up, because, the only tanks that have been spotted are down in K3, and chat's still going on. Worst map, meet you on the hill, then you go to another map. Yes, that'd be useful thinking. Wargaming effed it, so yeah, okay, tanks appearing in the north, that's fine. So team are talking to each other, it's not very toxic, but I am going to answer the question eventually. What are my thoughts on the change to the chat system? I'm just leaving all of this here because you can basically see that sometimes the chat was productive, people complaining, but complaining about maps, complaining about wargaming, not about each other. And then the Batchat appears. Okay, so just as I move, the Batchat appears, and I've got HE preloaded. I'm aimed. Gonna try and... Oh, that was an old man reaction shot. I don't remember the shot being as bad as that, but I reverse. Okay, Sixth Sense hasn't gone off, or... Yeah, I think I had Sixth Sense on the tank, but... Yeah, okay, Sixth Sense hasn't gone off, so I move up. So I missed my HE shot in the Batchat, at least I think I did. Okay, so moving up, that was the whole reason I loaded HE, just for that Batchat and Leopard, all those lightly armored tanks. There's the Batchat again. Okay, we're aiming. Okay, come on, where's he going? Where's he going to appear? So HE, and 973 with HE, but look at chat, sure, yeah, that's why I had HE loaded, and that's why we did 973 to the Batchat, but sure. Okay, so do I miss chat? Well, yeah, to answer that question, keep watching. Reported. Okay, that's good to know. Why am I reported, I wonder? Okay, can we get a shot in? Oh, 645 on the 120. So I'm basically pausing and I'm typing reason. So communicating with the enemy team, it used to be so much fun. So apparently I'm reported that Batchat, by the way, is a very good player. And he's going aimbot. Yeah, so do I miss accusations of cheating in the chat? No. Do I miss toxicity in chat? No. T92 is going, he's been shot and he's crying, never mind him. Yeah, of course I'd never mind him. I'm focused on doing more damage and on trying to win the game. But yeah, do I miss accusations of cheating or toxicity? Nope, not at all. In fact, I think the chat changes have been very, very positive to the game. So I hope that answers the question. I can't remember who asked it, but I can't find it. Alright, let's get on to today's video. Hi folks, and welcome to the Ace Tanker for the VK45.03, a Tier 7 German Premium Heavy Tank. We are here on Pilsen. It is Pilsen, isn't it? It's Pilsen, yes, and I'm top tier in a very, very nice matchup in a premium tank that I haven't covered on the channel before. So it's going to be reviewed. I'm going to go into the history a lot when I do get around to spending a day in the tank in order to review it. But just because it's the first time it's appearing on the channel, I might as well talk about it very, very briefly, because this is a tank that people get confused about, because on paper this is the Tiger 3. But in practice or in reality, it was the Tiger 2 prototype. So this can be referred to as either the Tiger 3 or the Tiger 2 prototype. And the reason that came about was because of the competition between Henschel and Porsche. Remember that competition to build the Tiger 1? Germany's first 45-ton heavy tank. So yeah, Henschel and Porsche went head-to-head. Porsche designed the Tiger P, thinking they would win the contract. They already had built 50 hulls that they ended up not needing, because Henschel ended up winning, Porsche lost, but those hulls then went on to be used in building the Ferdinand. So Porsche jumped the gun, Henschel won the contract for the Tiger 1, and the Tiger 1 was known as the VK45.01, so German track vehicle, VK, 45-ton, version 1 was the Tiger 1. It got the name Tiger 1, but almost as soon as the Tiger 1 was designed, Porsche and Henschel went head-to-head again, because they began designing a new tank, a successor for the Tiger 1, a better German 45-ton heavy tank, and Porsche actually submitted their plans first. So while the Tiger 1 by Henschel was the VK4501, Porsche submitted plans to build a successor, the VK4502. Now that is a tank we actually have in game as the alternative tier 8 heavy tank that leads on from the Tiger P, because they were both built by Porsche. So because they submitted the plans first, on paper, those plans, the VK4502, became known as the Tiger 2. Henschel then submitted their plans in early 1942, and because they submitted their plans after Porsche, it became known as the VK4503. And on paper, it was the Tiger 3, version 3 Tiger 3. So those plans are this particular tank here, which is why people refer to it as the Tiger 3, because on paper, this is the Tiger 3. Now, what actually happened is, a lot like the Tiger 1 and Porsche jumping the gun, Porsche also jumped the gun regarding the Tiger 2, because they started building turrets for the Tiger 2 before winning the contract, and then lost again to Henschel. So they had turrets lying around, but Henschel's design for the Tiger 3 on paper was accepted. And once the paper, or once the blueprints were accepted, the Tiger 2 ended up being built. Because it was the successor to the Tiger 1, it became the Tiger 2, even though Porsche, while in design phase, was called the Tiger 2. Henschel's design was called the Tiger 3. When the tank actually went into production by Henschel, it was known as the Tiger 2. So therefore, this is a paper design, therefore it's the Tiger 3. But in reality, it was the prototype Tiger 2. Okay, hopefully that's sorted it out. But it gets even a little bit more confusing than that. There's a lot more history regarding design changes and everything else, but suffice to say, by the time the tank was built and became the Tiger 2, it had 150 millimeters of frontal armor. However, that's the that's the tank we have in game, the Tiger 2. But the designs for this tank only had 100 millimeters of frontal armor. Now, just like the Tiger, because the original design was a lot closer to the Tiger than it was the Tiger 2 that we know it as today. The frontal armor was 100 millimeters, but it was sloped, and basically it was designed around the Panther. So a lot of the components, the engine, the suspension, the drive system, everything else were interchangeable with Panthers and Panther 2s, so it looks like a Panther more than it actually does a Tiger 1. So the hull was using Panther components, and on design only had 100 millimeters of frontal armor, but when it went into production, it had 150 millimeters of frontal armor. Now, the tank's hull went into production before the turrets were designed for it. Now, Krupp, a third company, were designing the turrets for the Tiger 2, but they weren't ready in time. So as a result, those spare turrets that Porsche had already built for the VK4502 were put into use. The first 50 Tiger 2s that were built and came off the production line ended up having the Porsche turret. So there we go. It's basically, this is the hull of the tank as it was in design before it was built. In design, it only had 100 millimeters of frontal armor, and the first 50 of the Tiger IIs that were built with 150 hull armor, although this doesn't have it, had the Porsche turret. The later tanks, there were 280 of them built in total up till the end of World War II. Beyond the first 50, all the other tanks had the Krupp turret. So, you know, it's historically accurate. Even when you get into the game and you play the Tiger II for the first time, the stock turret is technically accurate, historically accurate, because it's the Porsche turret. And then the later turret, the upgraded turret, is the Krupp turret, which was the tank that was, or the turret was originally designed to go on the tank. But yeah, that's basically, there's a heck of a lot more history and design changes and everything else to talk about. But the reason people call this the Tiger III is because on paper it was the Tiger III, and this is a paper tank. It's the prototype. It never actually got built in this configuration. It had more armor when it was built, more frontal hull armor, even though it did have this turret, and it was the original first 50 Tiger IIs. But with this configuration, it was a blueprint only, and therefore is the Tiger III, although technically the Tiger III is the Tiger II prototype. Oh, okay, so yeah, it's quite a good tank. Actually, it is quite a good tank, but I'm going to put it into a side-by-side comparison against the Tiger I, which is the other Tier 7 German heavy. So what are the differences? Well, there are quite a few differences. First of all, when it comes to the gun, what you can see is the DPM is definitely nowhere near as good as the gun on the Tiger I. So even though they're using the same 88mm gun, the Tiger I has a much, much better DPM because of much, much better rate of fire, much, much better reload. So yeah, DPM wise, the tank is not amazing, but it's still okay. It is still okay. It's around 1800 DPM, and that's not bad at Tier 8. Just the Tiger 2 or Tiger 1 is just so much better. So the gun doesn't have as much DPM. Okay, that's fine. But then we come to the weapons handling, and what you can see here is that the gun is better in every single way regarding weapons handling over the Tiger I. So the Tiger I has an advantage regarding its DPM, but the aim time, the accuracy while moving, shooting on the move, traversing the tank, traversing the turret, after firing, all better on the VK45.03. Even the elevation is slightly better, and the gun depression, because it's built on a Panther type chassis, it's basically got 8 degrees of gun depression compared to 7, so you're going to have more gun depression over the side of the tank rather than the front or rear, just like you would on most Panther variants, but technically it's got 8 degrees of gun depression. So the weapon handling better than it is on the Tiger I, even though the Tiger I gets a DPM advantage. Next major difference is the Tiger I, believe it or not, is faster, just by 2 kilometers, so the difference is almost unnoticeable. The Tiger I also gets a better horsepower to weight ratio, so you know, on paper the Tiger I should accelerate better, but unfortunately not quite, because the terrain resistance is much better on the VK45.03, so it may get a better top speed, it may get a better horsepower to weight ratio, same reverse speed, same horsepower, but unfortunately, or fortunately, the ground resistance on the VK45.03 is quite good, and that means you're not really going to notice a difference between the Tiger I and the VK45.03. In fact, to be honest, a lot of the time it just feels as if the VK45.03 is possibly even slightly more maneuverable. You can see it's got slightly better traverse as well, slightly better gun traverse. So yeah, the terrain resistance seems to make a big difference on this tank, and even though on paper the Tiger I is a better horsepower to weight ratio, it just feels, the VK45.03 feels faster, it feels more maneuverable. Not amazingly, but it does feel more maneuverable. You can see that the hull armor is identical on paper, with 100 in front, 80 on the side, and 80 on the rear, but that again is not 100% accurate, because the hull armor on the VK45.03 is sloped compared to flat armor on the Tiger I. So the armor is better on the VK, and it makes it a very good side scraper. That 80mm of side armor makes it a very good side scraper. Other major differences, well, probably about the only other major difference is the health. So the Tiger gets 1500 hit points compared to 1400 on the VK45.03. Signal range is better on the Tiger, but that's pretty much it. Same view range, 380. So yeah, it's probably a little bit better maneuverability wise than the Tiger I. Tiger I has better DPM, but the VK45.03 has better gun handling, even though technically it's the same gun. But as well as the gun handling or the DPM increase on the Tiger I, any experienced Tiger I player will tell you that the Tiger I's biggest strength and something you absolutely have to master when driving the Tiger 1 is the ability to side scrape, because that 80mm of side armor is incredibly good. And the VK4503 is identical. We are here on Pilsen, never remember this map. I'm top tier heavy in a tier 7 game, so nice matchup. There is Arty, but it's kind of a city map. You can avoid Arty. Arty's not going to be a big problem, but you're going to have to learn how to side scrape. And if you can side scrape in this tank, it is pretty good. It's a very, very good side scraper. And it has the advantage of not having flat armor on front. So we're side scraping. We're at an angle, just waiting for targets of opportunity to drive across this gap. And there's the first victim. And you can see that the aim time is okay. The reload is not amazing, but it's okay. You can boost it with equipment and crew skills, but he comes back for more. We can get a shot in and fall back. So, looks like he's using the derp gun, KV1. Not going to have much to shoot at, but I'm planning to track him. Maybe if he pops out again. Anyone going to pop out? Go first, see how accurate it is. Oh, he reversed, but we were able to land a shot with absolutely nothing to hit at, or to aim at. So the accuracy and the aim time on this gun are very, very good. Even though the Tiger 1 has a beaten DPM-wise, the gun is still pretty good. And as I say, it's a side-scraping, angling monster, just like you would in the Tiger 2. I've said it many, many times. There we go. We're angled and we bounce, because that's what this tank does. I've said it on garage reviews. I've said it on previous times when I'm talking about the Tiger 2. I started with the Germans when I first began playing World of Tanks, and I got up to tier 8, and it wasn't until the Tiger 2 that I actually learned how to play, or started learning how to play. I'm still learning how to play, but yeah, the Tiger 2 is the tank that taught me how to angle, how to side scrape, how to go hull down. That's why I've never sold the Tiger 2. I love the tank, but we've advanced. I've noticed that the enemy heavy is over here, and he's the guy I need to take out. The Oni is their top tier heavy. That's why I've come over here to engage him. I bounce, unfortunately. So the penetration you get, the gun, is it going to show me? See if we can get another shot into this guy. No, we bounce. And he manages to pen me because I was at a bad angle. Didn't reverse quickly enough. But we've got the standard 88mm, which comes on most German guns. Most German 88s. 203mm of penetration, 240 damage. So to penetrate that Oni, I need a high RNG roll. And I tend not to fire very much premium ammo in this, but you know, you can see that the premium ammo is not amazing. You've only got 237mm, again, 240 damage. So, you know, if you're up against some heavily armored tier 9s, you're probably going to be firing premium, but it's not the best premium. But again, we're side scraping. This is this tank's biggest strength. Side scraping, angling, and again, we're bouncing out with standard AP. I really, really should be going for his side, but he's advancing, we're angled, and he's just... Fatal mistake here. Look at this. Look at the angle I'm at. I went into third person to check my angle, and we're going to keep this guy perma-tracked, just making sure that he has a harder time penning me. Yep, there we go. We're side scraping. All he can do is hit my tracks. Someone's damaged my gun. Missed when that happened. Maybe that was that time, but we've got this guy. You know, the rate of fire is not as good as the Tiger 1's, but it's good enough to keep this guy perma-tracked. So, just feasting on this guy. Damage after damage after damage. And once again, all he can do is hit my tracks. We're side scraping, and hitting the tracks is this tank's biggest strength. Now, there was an OI. The tanks behind me are all dead. There's an OI moving up. So, there are 3 tanks here. I'm on my own. I had an E25 backup, but now he's running away. My team are wrapping around, but I've just got to stay alive until my team come around to support me. Unfortunately, bounce on the OI. Again, need a high RNG roll, but he's showing me his side. My reload's better than his, and we can take him out. So the other 2 tanks have gone back to engage. So yeah, this is a side scraper. I finally fixed my gun. It's all about angles. It's all about side scraping, just like most German heavies. The rate of fire is not as good as it is on the Tiger, but it's still pretty good. I like this tank. When you're top tier, you can play it just like you would any top tier heavy. You can be aggressive, go to the normal heavy positions, tear apart enemy tanks, and when you're not top tier, this is a wonderful support tank. Your armor may not be great when you're not top tier, but it's a wonderful support tank, because this is a gun that can damage higher tiers without having to fire premium ammunition. Trying to help the T-34, IS goes down, we put a track shot into the IS, get some more assistance damage, trying to help the T-34, but you know, the acceleration's not bad. Shooting on the move, there we go. Shooting on the move, it's pretty good. Yeah, I'm really enjoying this tank, and When I say, yeah, when you're top tier, you play it like a heavy tank. You play as top tier heavy, get into the top tier heavy position, angle, side scrape your way to victory. The gun is good enough, the armor is good enough. When you're up against higher tier tanks, then maybe the armor is going to struggle a little bit, especially because higher tier tanks are just going to be shooting your turret. And when they shoot your turret, it's the Tiger 1 stock turret or Tiger 2 stock turret, and there's nothing I enjoy seeing more than a Tiger 2 using the stock turret, because you can easily pen it. So easily pen the stock turret in a Tiger 2, but it's a tier lower. It's got the same turret, but it's a tier lower. You don't see as many higher tier tanks. You don't get special matchmaking, but when you get into higher tier games, the gun is accurate enough. It's got enough penetration to actually damage higher tier tanks, and you can play more of a support role, and you can play more of a sniping role. So I think this is a very, very good tank. Even better than the Tiger 1. I would much rather be driving the VK45.03 than I would the Tiger 1. The armor is better, it can side scrape just as well, it may not have as much DPM, but the gun handling is great. The aim time so much better, the accuracy so much better, shooting on the move so much better. It may not have as much horsepower to weight ratio, but the ground resistance means it actually feels, I don't know, it just feels faster and more mobile than the Tiger 1, even though technically it's not. I just enjoy it. I think it's a very, very competitive tier 7 premium heavy tank. It's as good as any tier 7 heavy in the game, in the right circumstances. Obviously, T29 is still going to be the daddy of best tier 8 or tier 7 heavies in the game, especially when it can go hull down. But I think the VK45.03 is a very, very flexible tank. I think it can damage higher tiers. I think you can play it as a heavy when you're top tier. When you're not a heavy, you can snipe with this gun. You can play a support, move up with other heavies, use them to tank damage and support them. I think it's just a very, very solid tank. I'm enjoying it, and as I say, it's on sale here in the EU right at this moment. When we get to the team score, 1282 was enough to pick up the first ace in the tank. We did 3,400 damage, which I'm quite happy with. Team did okay. They won one flank. I just had to hold on and survive until they came to support me, but I think we did okay. And we fired 21, hit 20, although that's nothing to boast about because basically most of those shots were at close range, but the few shots we did fire at range hit. We did actually manage to pen at range. Happy with the damage. We spotted 2, damaged 5, destroyed 3, did 569 assistance damage, and earned 61,000 credits for the premium account. So yeah, it can make money. It's not as good a money maker as a tier 8, but speaking of tier 8s, again, you've got the Löwe. The Löwe is the tier 8 German premium heavy tank, and I would much, much rather be driving a VK45.03 than I would a Löwe. I'm sorry, I'm putting it out there. I think the VK45.03 is competitive, especially as a tier 7, especially as top tier. But even when it's not top tier, it's competitive against higher tier tanks. And I think the Löwe suffers. Mobility-wise, it's got the same DPM problems, but this is basically a tier 7 Löwe, except it's better and more fun to drive than the Löwe, and it's just as good a crew trainer. So, I think the VK45.03 is actually quite good. Might sit down and spend a day in the tank and do a review for it soon, but first game of the day we ended up with 4,231 XP as a result, and first ace tanker. So yeah, it's on sale at the moment, guys, and if you like German heavies or want to train up German heavy crews, I think I can recommend this tank. My first impressions were very, very positive. You're going to do well in this tank as long as you understand angling and as long as you understand side scraping. If you can't do either of those things, you're probably going to think the tank sucks. But if you can angle and you can side scrape and know how to do it effectively, I think this is a very, very competitive tier 7 premium tank. So I don't know what sort of money Wargaming are charging for it at the moment, but yeah, I'd much rather drive it over a Löwe, and that's the biggest recommendation I can probably give to it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.